Hey guys, how you doing? Joe here. I am doing a video today not on a new vehicle and technically not on a used vehicle. I'm doing a vehicle that my father owns. This is his 2006 Dodge Ram Night Runner. Now he bought this truck brand new, actually as a Model N closeout, but he bought it in 2006. So he's had it since then. It's now 10 years old. It's done a lot of mileage, I think 185,000 or so. It's held up relatively well. It's got a lot of little flaws to it now that it's been older, but I'm going to kind of give you a walk around of the truck, show it to you, show you the engine, and just kind of talk about how it's lasted throughout the years. So come with me, enjoy this video, and let me know what you think. So first thing you may notice is that I'm in a completely different location today. I'm actually over by my dad's house doing this because it was my day off, but I couldn't make it into work, and I'll explain that in the interior shots. But this is the truck. This is a 2006 Night Runner edition. Now, how this truck differs from the standard editions is the fact that it's completely blacked out. If you walk up to it, you'll see that the headlights, and I showed this in my headlight restoration video, but the surrounds in here for the headlights are blacked out. The only lighting elements that have reflectors are the actual headlights. It still has buffing compound on there because he hasn't washed the truck in a few weeks, which I totally understand because he hasn't been here. But as you can see, this is not standard chrome. This is actually dark stainless, dark chrome, whatever you want to call it. It's all just plastic that's been chromed. And the only badges that appear on this truck are the Hemi badge and the Ram's head on the front and the rear. So that's what's special on the outside. Now, what it was supposed to have from the factory, and it was an option, was right here on the quarter panel, it was supposed to say Night Runner, but luckily they didn't have the stickers when it came time to put them on or something. I don't know the real reason why they didn't get put on the vehicle, but I don't really care either. So a couple of modifications that have been done over time. Those running boards are not the factory running boards. It didn't have running boards on it when he bought the truck. I bought those for him, or at least a set just like it, about 6 months after he bought the truck as a gift. And that gas cap we just recently put on. He just wanted to change it up. The old gas cap was still fine. Now, hilariously, when we went to put this thing on, I accidentally dropped the drill bit down the fuel filler neck. So now when it's full, it actually burps out when it comes to full. And the wind just picked up for some stupid ass reason. One of the factory upgrades was these inner wheel well liner, and I highly suggest them for anybody that buys a pickup truck because it helps keep the inside of the rear wheel wells from being full of crap. Also helps prevent rust. As you can see, even though it was a Minnesota truck, it only has a few spots of rust on the truck. And I would love to be able to take this truck for a while and redo the whole thing. But unfortunately, I don't have a shop anymore, and without a shop, I can't disassemble a truck. So it may be hard to see. Actually, it's not really. I can see it from here. But the bottom of the door here has some wrinkling in it. In 2011, my father got cut off on the freeway and slid into a big snowbank, and there was some damage because there must have been something by the door when he was frantically trying to get out of the vehicle before another vehicle slammed into him. So other than that, this truck's been pretty damn good. So this is not the original rear bumper for this truck. I actually replaced it about 1.5 years ago because the old one had a big dent in it from somebody backing into it right about here, and it was damaged pretty badly. Now, I actually painted this bumper up. It's quite dirty right now, and it's got a few scratches on it because it's been a long time, but I painted that using cans about 2 years ago, and I'll include a clip of what it looked like before I put it on the truck. Alright, it's hard to see, but it's all dull. 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 And bam! That is where I'm at with just rubbing compound. And yes, I know my ceiling lights look like boobs. Look pretty damn good in my opinion. Moving under the hood, This is the 5.7 liter Hemi engine. Unfortunately, as you can see, it is quite dirty. When my father first got this truck, he was meticulous about his care on it, but it's gotten much older. It uses oil now. It's got a lot of mileage on it, so he's not as worried as he used to be about how well it was cleaned. Like I always say though, I really want to take the truck and rebuild it for him, and someday I will. Just under the hood here, I've had to replace this valve cover gasket twice and the other one once because they do eventually start leaking. They've been pretty good recently. I've replaced the spark plugs in this truck once, maybe twice, maybe, I think only once actually. These are a pain in the ass because as you can see, the brake booster actually blocks the last two, but you can get them out if you have patience and a ratcheting 7mm wrench. I've tried to maintain this truck as well as I could, and it's been pretty good about it. So the fact that it's gone 185,000 miles without a problem is pretty good. As you can see, these two bolts are not the same as the rest of the bolts under the hood. That's because the front caliper fell off the truck and my father needed a couple of bolts in the middle of the winter and he had to steal them from under the hood because no parts store had them at the time. I'll tell you more about that inside. I've replaced the power steering cooler, but I've never had to replace the condenser or the radiator, thank goodness. And it's quite a small radiator for a big engine, I'm surprised, but it never overheats. So this engine, when it came out in the trucks, some people say 350 horse, ew, dirty. 350 horse, some say 345 horse. I'm gonna go 345 just to be safe and not over claim on the vehicle. And I believe it was 350 foot-pounds of torque. So at the time, you got to remember in 06, the LS3 or the LA3 or whatever the hell they called it in the pickup trucks for the Chevys were only making, I think, 245 horsepower, and the 5.4 liter Triton again I think was like 235 horsepower. So in 06, when this motor was in this truck, it was the most powerful standard duty engine that you could get outside of going to big blocks and whatnot. This is also the first year that had MDS, which is the cylinder deactivation system, which I hate, but my father thinks actually helps with his gas mileage, but it really doesn't, but to each their own. But yeah, overall, this truck has held up really well. One thing I've noticed lately, and I don't know how well it comes across, I'm sure it looks fine, but when I'm filming outside, this viewfinder sucks, but this whole door looks like it was attacked by little people with screwdrivers. So these tires and wheels, as you can see, they are slightly different from the factory wheel, as in they have a dark chrome finish on them. Believe it or not, these are actually covers over the standard aluminum 5-spoke wheel. So it's the standard wheel underneath with a cover over it. These tires are the knobbly tires he decided he needed, which have actually held up really well. I think these tires have been on here for almost 40,000 miles, and they're just now starting to wear down. So they're Nitto grapplers, and they seem to work really well. They just, you know, on the freeway a little bit. Not much you can do about that. So there you go. As you can see, my father was an Army man, career Army. You don't have to support the president, you don't have to support the military's decisions, but you should always support your troops. One thing on this truck that was factory, and it's actually held up really well, is that's a factory rolling tonneau cover. Now there's a bunch of crap inside the bed of the truck, so I'm not going to open it up. Everybody knows what the inside of a truck bed looks like. And then obviously in 2002, 2003, a lot of manufacturers started doing this with the tailgates, putting these little lip spoilers on them. And I'm not sure exactly why. Maybe they help with the air coming off the back of the trucks, but it's just commonplace now and it looks kind of cool. Here's the inside of the truck. And as we pan across, as I said, this one is a Night Runner edition, which is a little bit of a special edition that they did in 2006. As you can see, it's got the white face gauges with the Night Runner script in it. This truck is one of the first ones that actually came with the navigation system, and my father got this one instead of buying a lifted red with flames on it truck, which I think was the way to go because he's a much more subdued person when you look at his vehicles versus say other things. But yeah, this one was an Alpine stereo. Well, it still is an Alpine stereo but it has navigation. It's not touchscreen or anything, but again, it's one of the first times that they put a bigger screen inside of the trucks. It works good. It has the updated disc in it, and yes, it was the last of the disc-based systems. After that, when they went to the newer style system, I believe they're all USB updated. Unfortunately, this radio does not have an aux jack or a USB jack anywhere connected to it, which is kind of sad. My father's been looking for an upgraded radio. You may notice that the surround is actually piano black. It's actually not piano black. It's really hard to see in this light, but it's actually the same color as the outside of the truck. I painted this 2 years ago because the standard trim is this faux silver carbon fiber crap, and it looks like poo. And I always meant to do these as well, but I never got around to them. But this was done over the course of a couple of days. It needs to be repolished, but yeah, I did that inside my house. It's actually all one piece, which was a pain in the ass. That's why I see a little bit of stuff down there. But yeah, I think it's held up pretty good through the heat and the cold and all that stuff. I'll repolish it eventually and make it nice. One of the things is that this truck has 185,589 miles, or 889 miles. Can't read through a viewfinder. But yeah, this truck has been basically to the moon and back, which is cool. It's still in relatively good shape. As you can see, it's got the Night Runner script on the seats as well. The seats aren't in bad condition. They have some staining on them, but it's held up really well. Another thing that this truck had that a lot of them don't is the center console here. This is a pain in the ass because you actually had to take this out to replace anything behind here. You can't take the front of the stereo off unless you remove this piece and remove this piece, because there's 2 screws in there. Now, the last time I put this thing back together, I left those screws out. And the reason I had this apart was, and I don't know how many of you are very familiar with the Dodge Rams and the Dodge products of the early 2000s, but this actually has 5 different motors to control the different ways that the AC and heat is routed through the truck, and they all broke. As I explained before, my father hit a snowbank going about 65 miles an hour in North Dakota because somebody almost caused him to crash. And when that happened, it actually snapped the plastic doors. Now, it's something Chrysler knew about in their design, but they never told anybody about. But the door actuator motors were connected by plastic rods, not metal ones. And when he hit the impact, it snapped them. Now, if you took this truck to Chrysler to get those replaced, it's at least a $1,200 job. Now, the parts only cost $100. So I wound up doing it, and I will insert some pictures right about here. Yeah, pain in the ass, huh? Took me 3 days. And I wanted braking stuff. Not really braking, but I tore the door because I left the dashboard in here because I couldn't get it all the way out without disconnecting every piece of wiring. And I really didn't want to do that. But everything else in here now works. I have replaced all the lights in the dashboard and the heater controls and a few other things throughout its lifetime. That's from my little brother. He thought it was cool when the truck was only like in its first 6 months to take the cigarette lighter and jam it onto the console while it was hot. Apparently he wanted to see if it would melt, and yes it did. Rear seat room is not great in this truck. It's about the same as a current Super Cab truck, which is fine. So there you go. Basic overview of my father's truck. You know, when he dies, it's my truck, so we'll say it's my truck too. But if you have any questions, let me know. Any comments on this video, let me know. Put them down below. You can give it a thumbs down if you want to, but give it a thumbs up. Military man's truck. Support your troops. And I do apologize again, but I will get more videos up. And hopefully they will be back to 2 a day. If my head didn't hurt so bad today, I was going to do one at noon. I actually filmed part of one that I could have thrown up, but it was unfinished, unedited, and I didn't want to do that to you. So until I talk to you, see you later.
$600 to the
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So
Would you people stop setting stuff on fire while I'm trying to film? God dang kids. The hell?